This is you. Watching the opportunities go by in your life. This is you. And then, all of a sudden, out of the blue, comes an alpha male. So, that's the story of my life. Last night and this morning, reviewed your files again, see if I forgot anything. I don't have a photographic memory, but I've got a pretty close to photographic memory. And I went back to the questions that you were asked to submit, which are normally not germane by the time I talk or by the time, the seminar is gone a few days. Close that door! We have an intercom system in the castle. That's my voice. We have a real intercom system. And they can hear me normally 2 floors above me and at least 100 meters away from my office. Although I know Kat's phone is 205. Aren't you 205? Isn't your phone in the intercom system 205? I know the numbers, but I don't want to get out of the habit of saying, hey! You, Lord ass! Except for John Wooden, who I alluded to a couple of days ago, who I knew. All the high-performance people I know yell and use bad words that I've ever met. Is Elon the Musk the flavor of the day, more or less? Isn't Elon the flavor of the day? His favorite word is fuck! He can't say a sentence without saying fuck at least twice. But he's got a different thing when he's on camera, doesn't he? Because he wants people to buy those motherfucking, just like I bought one, those goddamn Tesla cars. When I was in graduate school, during the teacher's strike, I volunteered. I didn't know that what it meant, break the unions and break the union lines and all that shit. I taught at a junior high school. This would have been about 68-ish. No, 69, 70-ish. And I always wondered what the teachers talked about in the teacher's lounge. And we have at least one ex-teacher in the room. And in those days, they smoked in the lounge, and I saw them drink in the lounge. But when I crossed the picket line, you would have thought that I was Mao Zedong. I mean, the fucking the teachers that are, even the little mice with their signs were coming after me. I was a big kid. And they're all swearing and saying bad shit, and now this was 50 years ago, so I'm sure the teachers are all cleaned up now. But now they may think bad shit. But they don't say it because somebody might have an iPhone, and God knows, the iPhone, Steve Jobs changed the world for sure. But he had no idea, like I said yesterday, how he changed because of the iPhone or the phone, because you can get on camera now. When I was going through all your stuff, was deciding which slide we were going to start with today, because I go back and I look at all the slides, which you're not going to get, and I decide based on your inaptness, your whatever, what we need to spend time on, because I can still tell, I don't know if the right word is vibrations or the vibes or whatever the hocus pocus for 21st century is. There's a lot of stuff that you're shooting the messenger, which is me, and you still don't believe, even though we could have 1,000 guys up here on the webinars. And as I said yesterday, that's them. And until you do it, at best you're a skeptic, at worst you know you can't do it, but you're afraid to admit it. Remember I said in the first day, most people don't have balls enough to say they don't have balls enough. Because if you say that, forget the stress and how distressed, that's all horse. It says that you pissed away a good part of, if not most of your adult life. Especially those whenever somebody says, I'm working on that. Now, what the fuck does that mean? I'm working on not being a cunt. What does that mean, pendeja? Pardon? Correct. Thank you. You can work on it. You can be working on to be 6'5" tall the rest of your motherfucking life. It ain't gonna happen, is it? No. High performance people don't work on shit. They do it. And they engage in self-deprecation. They embarrass themselves. Now, one of my favorite topics, I'm a member of the AARP. When you're 55, you get to be a member of this for old fucks. And the headline this time is Climate Change in You. I won't read it. I'll use that headline, though, for the seminar in the next few weeks. But people pretend to care about the trees, and people pretend to care about the atmosphere, and people pretend, as I showed you, Obama's house is on the water, Al Gore's house is on in fact, virtually, not 95%, but 100% of the rich people that have second, third homes, they're normally on the water or in ski slopes. Because global warming, there won't be any fucking snow, but anyway, okay. Now, greenwashing, spending more time and money claiming to be green through advertising and marketing rather than actually implementing business practices that minimize environmental impact. Now, some of the biggest crybabies about the environment are banks. JP Morgan Chase Since the Paris Agreement, JP Morgan has driven $317 billion into fossil fuels. Since the agreement, banks have invested $3.8 trillion into fossil fuels since the Paris Agreement came into force in November 2016. HSBC, Europe's second largest bank, funder of fossil fuels, $81 billion into fossil fuels since 2015. Barclays, Europe's largest bank, funder of fossil fuels, went up 31% since the agreement. Wells Fargo, third worst fossil bank in the world. Since the Paris Agreement was made in 2016, invested $223 billion in value. I can go on and on and on. You don't know that because you're a meathead. It's bullshit. The people that signed that agreement and subsequent agreements and progress are a joke. Citigroup, second worst fossil bank in the world since the Paris Agreement was made, 237 billion. And they talk about the next normal. And I'm not the only motherfucker that knows this. They laugh at you because you're fucking so stupid. Nobody that's got any fucking money gives a shit. Why are you so stupid? Now, right now, you look stupid. It's like a slide I used the first day. Right in the middle of Corona, a guy died on a plane coming from Phoenix to New York City with 181 passengers. They give him, they try to bring him back to life, and he died of Corona on the plane. Do you think that they went back and they checked those 180 people that were on the plane to see? Do you think? I can tell you, pardon? No, I can tell you they didn't. Or as they say here, they didn't. And that's why it's so good for us. Because you're stupid and everybody else is more stupid. Now, the guy, the seminar girls are telling you it's because they're teaching you how to be smart. No, I'm not. Remember, don't waste time on things you can't change. You're brain dead. I can't change that. One thing, one moving part in our motherfucking model. And that's a motivated motherfucking seller. That's it. Nothing else. This is not an E equals MC squared kind of program. Although in 1993, I had kind of MBA shit in it. And I realized I was just pissing in the wind. Although we had 7 Hall of Famers in that first seminar out of 60, Brewster Whipple being one. And then the longer I went, the shorter on real info. And I realized it was an emotional deal. I had to get your head screwed on straight. Because virtually anybody can do this if they can take the emotional sacrifice and rejection in the beginning, not just of the people that we're trying to find to join our dream team and etc., but the sacrifices we have to make. But it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. That's why it's 0.0001. And that 750,000 people are capable of doing this, but they don't do it. They're capable. Some are on the 12-year program. Some are on the 8-year program. And some are on the 30-month program. But there's far more people on the 8-year program than there are on the 30-month program. And again, that's good for the people that want to be on the 30-month program and make tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. But I wish I had $10 for every person that told me, I want to be billionaire. Billion, okay? They make $10, $20 million. I never hear from them again. Never. Not thank you, go fuck yourself, a Christmas card, nothing. And saying that I want to be a billionaire has only become popular the last maybe 5, 6, 7 years. Before they just want to be a multimillionaire. Because your expectations, remember, you will never surpass your highest and wildest and craziest expectation of yourself. And the word billion may come out of your fucking weaselly mouth, but down deep inside, it's million. We had, in the 90s, we had a woman from the IRS here attend the seminar, and she came up with a saying, those of you that are old enough, I'm from the IRS and I'm here to help. Okay, which is hilarious beyond belief. Nobody in the United States government, and that would have been, I think, Jimmy Carter's administration, I think. No, not Jimmy Carter's. Anyway, I don't know. She made $10 million. She bought a boat, and her partner, that's just when they start to say partners. When you didn't have a wife or husband, you call them a partner. I don't understand it, but anyway, partner. Her and her partner, as far as I know, are still sailing around the world. The only thing they've done is they got a bigger boat. Sail. Sally's a sailor. She sailed across the North Atlantic. She calls boats with engines stink pots. She's a real sailor. But this global shit, it's a joke. And you've heard me say on YouTube countless times, but Sally and I were in the South Pole 11 years ago. And South Pole is on a mountaintop. Antarctica is on a mountaintop. And at that time, they had taken about 50,000 ice cores, testing. And they can tell from the ice core and the levels, they can tell how long ago such and such happened. And but the 5th or 6th core, they said, in 55,000 years ago, it was 2.7 degrees Celsius warmer than it is today. He says, hey, put the motherfucking brakes on. Let's stop. And they had a bunch of guys that looked like him, and hadn't shaved in 5 years, running around in flip-flops, boxer shorts and T-shirts, because they're used to the cold. And these Einstein guys are all. And so I said, say that again. And he said, 55,000 years ago, the planet was 2.8 degrees Celsius warmer. And I said, embarrassingly, I still can close my eyes and hear these guys. Well, what about global warming? They were nuts laughing. It's all cyclical. We're going to have another ice age, supposedly in between 25 and 40,000 years from now. And the world's going to end in 4.8 billion years. We get sucked into the sun. There's certain things everybody knows. Just like they know, there's not a 10% probability or a 90% probability. There is 100% probability we're going to get hit by an asteroid again, like the one that fucked up the dinosaurs 65 million years ago. 100%. Best case scenario, water goes up 10 meters if we continue the way we're going. Worst case scenario, 30 meters. 30 meters, everybody's about fucked, except here. 10 meters, 2/3 of the United States, fucked, a good part of Europe, it's fucked. So, and the question they have is it going to happen in 40 years or 200 years? That's, 40 years. But because people are easily swayed, i.e. Corona, I'm not saying it's not a bad thing, but eventually I think it's going to be like the flu. You get a flu shot, but it's our time. Even now, the lockdown's easing. It's our time. It's never going to get like this again in my life. Now, the scientists, the Einstein scientists kind of guys from Mayo Clinic and Cleveland Clinic, which we've had at the seminar, say in between 25 and 40 years, we're going to be able to, if you take care of yourself, live forever. 25 and 40. I'm hoping it's closer to. My dad was 91 years old when he died. His brother was 94. My dad's brother never smoked or drank one cigarette or drank one drink in his whole life. 94. My dad smoked between 4 and 5 packs a day from time to time. He was 18 to 88, and he drank at least a fifth of hard alcohol every day. And his brother lived him 30 months. And my dad had a lot of fun. I don't know my Uncle Larry. I'm sure he had a lot of fun. And the doctors tell me I take care of myself very well. But if I took it, I was perfect and I didn't drink it, I would easily live to 120. Easily, without even breaking a fucking sweat. The women in our family live 198. 102, 104. The men, the best, are 94, my Uncle Larry. My dad didn't do one push-up when he didn't make the Olympic team for the 1936 Olympics. Kind of broke his heart. Not kind of, it broke his heart. And he never did because he was an all-American athlete in high school. Gymnast. Remember, 56-inch chest, never lifting a weight. He was a gymnast. It's our time. It's our time for those who want to take advantage of the ineptness and the insecurities. Now, some of you won't do that because I use the word take advantage. I understand. And that's why it's not for everybody. For those of you that are tired of being on the shit end of the stick, vis-a-vis financially, this is the only game in town. You don't need any money. The old saying, work hard, blah, 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 blah. Well, working hard and working for a company 30, 40 years and then getting a watch maybe at the end of a retirement. And we got some pensioners in here. I don't have a pension myself. We don't have a retirement fund. All we have is a lot of cash, gobs and heaps of cash. And people say that, aren't you worried about inflation? No. Aren't you worried about taxes? No. You guys, when some of you listed what's the best thing you've ever accomplished in your life, and you said you sold a building, built a building, and your ROI, return on investment, was 13% or something. I never heard any of my billionaire, and they're not really my friends, guys I know, talk about an ROI in their life. Never. I tripled my money. The rule of thumb for big hitters is if you can double your money in 30 months, is kind of the benchmark they use. I don't know what ROI that is. Double their money in 30 months. Payback in 18 months, meaning you get your money back once, as they say in Texas. Yeah, you guys are running around, and that's why interest rates don't matter. If 2 or 3 points or 200 or 300 basis points, the difference between 3% and 4% or 5% and 6% vis-a-vis commercial debt that you're paying off makes a difference. Your deal's no fucking good. And when we look at deals starting this afternoon, we want a commercial bank will loan you money if you have 1.1 times debt service covered by cash. They like you to have 1.25 to 1.5 times debt service covered by cash. We want deals that have 1.75 to 4 because I know you're going to fuck it up. Just like some of you took a piss this morning and took a shit. I know you're going to fuck it up. I know this fucking dwarf here, this munch, is going to fuck it up. I know Four Eyes over here is going to fuck it up. I know the fucking Hermans are going to I know. So why would I recommend or suggest or order you to do a deal with 1.15 or 1.2 times debt service covered by cash flow? Do you realize how small that is? Do you realize what little change there has to be before you're fucked? Yet banks will loan it to you at that level. You've heard them say it's easy finding the board, building the board. It's easy getting accountants. It's easy getting lawyers. It's easy warming up banks. But it's a hard son of a bitch to run the business. That's where most of the kids fall off the skateboard or whatever they're saying. Very rarely do, in a group like this, 24, maybe 2 or 3 don't have difficulty running. But that's why it's a building block process. The chairman makes it easier that you're recruiting. And that's what we're going to start talking about. The chairman makes it easier to get the CEO. The chairman and the CEO makes it easier to get the CFO. The chairman, the CEO, and the CFO makes it easier to get your in-house lawyer. All the above make it easier to get the in-house accountant. All the above make it easier to get the industry expert. All that group make it easier to get the accountants first. The accountants and all the board make it easier to get the lawyers because they're the hardest. And all the accountants, the lawyers, and the board make it easier to show banks you've got 250 years experience, $82 jillion in deals, and everybody on your board should be a transaction person at some level, meaning they have done fucking deals, not taught about doing deals. It's a perfect storm. Yes, did I think it through? You fucking right. Is it perfect? Not perfect, because then they add you. It'd be perfect if it wasn't for you. You're the fuck up in the model. And you do the first deal, $1.5 million, then the second deal, $1.5 million to 2, and then 2 to 3. It's perfect. I am a motherfucking genius. Yes, I am. Thank you. My IQ happens to be genius level, even though they put me in a fucking with a dunce cap when I was a kid. So the only fuck up in the deal is you. And yet, even with you in the deal, we'd still create billions. That shows you how good it is. They used to say the only two things for sure are death and taxes. And yet you hear that a lot of the big guys don't pay tax. It's a great complaint of the poor, which I find I actually pay tax. Not much for as much money as I make, but I mean, I pay tax. Because Al Capone even went to jail for tax evasion. That's what I remember. I may go to jail for murder someday, but I'm never going to go to jail for tax evasion. None of us get out of this alive. And now I don't necessarily believe that because the people that go to church has dropped precipitously that the world has gone to shit. There are a lot of people that do. Family, household unit, and that kind of thing. What I do believe with all my heart is that since discipline has gone to shit, the family's gone to shit. And you can see there up to 2020, but that's not a big deal for church. And at the same time, men between 25 and 34 living at home has risen. Look at that. I think that's an embarrassment. What do you do when your parents are fucking? You're living at home. How do you get fucked? You bring your little sweetheart home. You take alternate days fucking? When I wanted to get out of the house since I'm about 13, 14. There was no fucking way I was going to be living in the house when I was 18, which I had already got out of high school and I was in college. That's where we are. Only half of the millennials are earning more than their parents. Half. Young male virginity on the rise. I can go on and on and on. Some of you fall into that category. Jesus Christ almighty. We're fucked. No sex in the past year. Women and men. I could give a whole week seminar. When I spoke at the University of Toronto, 2 groups invited me. A black woman professional group, and not a global warming, but a student activist kind of. So I went. Toronto, one of the top 50 schools supposedly in the world. That's not why I went. And I asked the president of the black lawyers deal, if you're watching this, sweetheart, give me a call. Why me? I don't believe in any of this shit you believe in. Nothing. I think that you're, that's why we want to hear you. And I went up there. First of all, they told me the wrong day. 70% of the student body is Asian. More or less, that's okay. I don't give a shit. We got there, and I always get a day early. And so I was 2 days early because they told me the wrong fucking day. That's university today. Those are students today. They give me the wrong, I come halfway around the world, they give me the wrong fucking day. And then they called the office about a week or 10 days before I talk, and they said that we're concerned about Mr. Pena's security. So Kim or whoever, I don't know if it's Kat, I'm not worried about it. Because Professor, is it Peterson or Pedersen? Yeah. They were tearing his classroom apart and trying to set him on fire because of the shit he says. He's liberal compared to me, that guy. And they said, we're concerned. I said, don't worry, I don't need security. So I brought a cricket bat, and there's 400 kids in the hall, and they were very nice to me. And I had the cricket bat on a podium. That's my security. That's all I need. I didn't say anything. I just put my cricket bat there. And then finally, after there was kind of a lull in the conversation, and I allow people to ask questions while I'm talking, and somebody raised their hand and says, sir, what's a cricket bat? And so I'm about where you guys are, except the shoulder to shoulder, it's pre-corona. And why do you have the cricket bat there? And I said, because one of you guys, and then I named the president of the association. This little shithead told me that I should be worried about my security. And so security for your valuables, or what do you mean security? I said, my personal security. And then somebody asked, well, what's a cricket bat got to do with that? And I said, and then I jumped down off the stage with the cricket bat. And I said, because when I take his head off, the rest of you are going to back on. And then somebody asked, would I really hit anybody? That's where we are. That's would I really hit anybody? If I didn't kill at least 3 or 4 before they mobbed me, I would blow my own brains out. Then we had cocktails and hors d'oeuvres, and it was catered. It was a great deal, a great event. And then the guys, after they'd been drinking, got brave. And one of the women, it'd be a better story if I said it was a burqa bitch, but it wasn't. one of the women came up to me and poked me in the shoulder like that. Sally thought I was going to hit her, but I didn't. And he says, the guys have no balls anymore. And I said, honey, I wish you were up on the stage. She says, no. The only people that maul you, and that's probably for sex, are with the women here that haven't gotten fucked. That's where we are. Weddings are down. Men are marrying these dolls. Marriage between heterosexual marriage in Japan is down 37%. This century. They don't talk back, I'm told. They don't talk back. Well, I've known some women that didn't talk back. And yet if I say you're ugly or fat, it's a hate crime and I can go to jail here in the UK. Well, I shouldn't have been in jail already. Pardon? Yeah. Persecuted group, my ass. But anyway. Now, this is a very famous story. This is the guy, the head of KPMG UK, got fired for telling his people, stop moaning about the pandemic. He got fired. 27 years with KPMG, on the board of KPMG worldwide. He got fired for telling his people on a conference call of 400, 500, 600 people that reported to him, stop moaning about the pandemic. And he's gone. His whole career, flushed down the toilet. Bless you. And that's why it's easy for it, because there is no competition. We roll over these cunts like shit through a goose. But you gotta uncunt yourself to roll over these cunts like shit through a goose. The problem is, the challenge is you're a cunt, and then sometimes you're a bigger cunt than they are. That's the challenge. And when guys like Gerard unleashed, because he's anything but a cunt, unleashed the beast in him, and his wife's calling me to please let him go. He's not, I get those calls periodically. Let him go. We had a kid from Australia. His father had him kidnapped, and they brought back to Australia on his private plane to reprogram him. And then he escaped from the thing, and he came back working on the deal. They kidnapped him again to take him back to reprogram him. He escaped again and came back to reprogram the kid. I'm trying to be a man. The U.S. is fucked up probably more than any country. These murder rates were high before Black Lives Matter. Before all that shit. But now they're even up more. The funny part about it is the guy in, Portland, who was the head of one of the organizations that said that they should de-police or unpolice or have no police, so they reduced police force, he got shot. And so then he's suing the city because there wasn't police protection. They're resigning from police forces in droves. You can't put in your resignation or your retirement papers in many of the major cities because they've already, they don't have enough money to pay. One of the big things that's going to happen, I don't think it's a black swan, is unfortunately firefighters and police departments normally have, and I used to be an advisor to the LAPD Police and Fire Pension Fund a long time ago, is they don't have enough money to pay you when you retire because they have these actuary numbers, you're going to retire so many people. Well, everybody retires at the same time. You don't have enough money. You work 35 years as a school teacher or for the state. We have two people sitting kind of juxtaposed to each other that fall into that category. You're fucked. You're going to sue the state. Good luck. And that's why it's better. All these negative things I'm saying make it better. It's a nail in their coffin, one after another. I can say the same thing about Germany and the Netherlands. By the way, I think I said last night, the guy that threw up on his shoes emailed me, and he's done 3 or 4 more deals. He says, how come you don't call me? And he didn't want to talk. And so now, because I haven't talked to him in a few months, because he's done well. And a lot of the kids that do well want to share. They don't want to share, make things better for you. They want to prove to me that I was wrong about them, that they're, a mealy-mouthed cunt. That's the real reason. They don't say it that way. The U.S. is fucked up. Now hiring 2 losers. Wendy's, that's a real sign. But it's even worse. Am I the only one that sees this shit? Wendy's isn't advertising it. It's not on CNBC. It's not on ABC, BBC. Kills himself because he lost his life savings on Bitfuck. You know how many people have lost their life savings on Bitfuck? It's a hard time. You've been given 2 kind of tools. If you can't convince a board member, you want to make $1 million in the next 18 months for doing next to nothing? Some of the smart kids have already figured that out. And they're running like, towards the gunfire, demolishing everything in the sight. Little meaty mouse, little mice. That's sad. This is you. Watching the opportunities go by in your life. This is you. And then, all of a sudden, out of the blue, comes an alpha male. So, that's the story of my life. Because most people will just continue to watch the opportunities go by. And I've always pulled the trigger. The only thing I've never pulled the trigger, I'm not a pre-ejaculator. I know how to ride that motherfucker for the long haul. And that's why I'm a world-class fuck. If we wait until we're ready, we'll be waiting for the rest of our lives. And some of you need a little extra kick. This is my specialty right here. Some of you need a little extra kick because you're not really dead. You only think you're fucking dead. And then, like a fucking magic, I resurrect you. Kids, those scenes represent 99% of the people that come here because they give up too soon. And as far as I'm concerned, if it takes you longer than 2 or 3 or 4 years, you wasted your money coming. Because notwithstanding, when I put this together for the new seminar, we hadn't had the 7-day guy yet. We only had that I tell people, well, how fast can you do it, Mr. Pena? A week. I didn't know anybody was going to fucking do it in a week. A fucking week, you fucking rum-dum